Okay, so our next two items involve editing the actual web page now. So this involves changing the layout so we can change how many columns display on your page. So you can have 2 columns of information, 1 column, whatever you decide, 3 columns. And we're also going to look at how we add, edit, and delete different web parts. So we're going to go to the site that we've been working on, and we see over here the gear button we were just using. The part that we're concerned with is called Edit Page. So this lets us go in and change the actual web page. The first thing we're going to do, this is the layout that it's given us. We can see the outline of a column here with the different parts inside of it, the outline over here, and the part at the top. So we can change the text layout if you click on that, and it'll show you the different options. So say for example we wanted 2 columns. We can change it so that we have 2 columns. So that's the basic part to changing the layout. If you decide you don't want 2 columns of information, you just want 1, it'll make it all into 1. So you can kind of decide what you want and what will work best for the site and the students that you have. So say for example we do 2 columns. We've now changed our layout. So we've changed the layout. Next we want to look at how to add, edit, and delete web parts. Well, the first part is, what is a web part? These little boxes are called web parts, and they're all little pieces that make up your site on each page. The web parts are the things that we looked at under the site contents. So for example, your announcements page, your class links page, your course resources. All of these things can be changed, so you can take the ones out that you don't like. So say we didn't want to have class links, but we want a calendar. We can delete this and add a calendar. You can also edit the individual part. So if you don't want to call it class announcements, you want to call it something else, you can change that. You can change the name of the part to something else, what it appears as. If you don't want to call it course resources, you want to call it homework, or you want to call it lessons or assignments, you can just edit the name of that specific part. If you want to move the existing parts around, say for example we didn't want this space here, you can just click and hit the delete button on your keyboard, or you could click there and click backspace just to drag it up. Oops, sorry, that deletes it. So we have it there. You can also just start from scratch and delete all of these, and we'll show you how to insert each one. If you just want to delete a certain part or delete them all and start from scratch, you just need to click here on this little triangle. Once you click on that, it's going to give you options. You can delete it or you can edit it. So if we just wanted to delete the announcements page, just click on delete. It'll say you're about to permanently delete this web part. Are you sure? Yes, you're sure, because you can just insert a new one that's the exact same. So you can click OK, and it will update and delete it. So all of a sudden the announcements are gone. So now that we know how to delete the web parts, I would recommend deleting them all. You can also hit the delete button on your keyboard to drag up any extra web parts that you didn't see that were there. So I would recommend starting with a blank slate, just so that you don't end up with duplicates of things or realize something's there that you didn't see before. So when we're ready to put in a new web part, we're still in the area where we're editing the page, and we're going to have to click save when we want to finish our edits. So you could click save now and it would come up as a blank page, and you could go back into the edit area. We're just going to keep going. So to insert a new web part, you're going to click on insert at the top. You have to be in edit page for you to be able to see insert, otherwise that will not appear. And once you click there, it has a bunch of different buttons. Click web part. So these are little pieces like drop boxes, calendars, course resources, all those little parts. So once you click web part, it's going to give you some options. They're mostly under apps, most of our parts. There's a few more if you want to look through. But say we want to add whatever we want to start with. So say we want to have collaborative documents as one of the things that we want, or class announcements even. Say we want class announcements, we just click on it and we click add, and it will load it in. So we can sit and add Okay, underneath announcements, we want the collaborative documents area. And we can rename collaborative documents later. So we would just hit insert and web part, choose it. So collaborative documents we might pick. Now it's important to note that all of the icons that have a little folder, those items are things that you can put folders in. So if you pick collaborative documents, you can put folders in there with documents inside them. But certain web parts like the calendar or class announcements, you can't put folders in there. So there's only a few kinds that you can put in there that you can have containing folders. So we'll click Documents and click Add. So you want to add in all of your parts. You just click where you want them. If you decide that you don't want it in that location, you can drag it, or you can click, you can delete it, or you can drag it to the area. So if you want it over here, you can drag it over. You can also delete it. So once you've gotten the pieces you want, I'm going to show you how we're going to edit those parts. So once we've added the parts that we want, here we have class announcements, collaborative documents, class calendar, and course resources. We can go ahead and start to change them. If there's something you want to change, like the title of a particular web part, we can change that and edit that. Now, right now we're manipulating these parts on the home page. They're appearing on the home page, but there are still links to them over here. So if you click on class calendar, it's going to open a separate page that has the calendar there just by itself. So this is here displaying it on the home page, but these ideas of inserting web parts and deleting them and changing them applies to all pages that you work on the site. So if we want to go ahead and edit one of these parts, for example, if we wanted to call collaborative documents lessons, we could hit Edit Web Part. And over on the right side of the page, there's a bunch of different menu options. Now, it can get very, very complicated, but if we just want to change something under the appearance, we can see that it says title. We can change that to lessons. So if you wanted to put folders with the Unit 1 lessons or the Unit 2 lessons, you could still call it that. You just hit OK, and it will change it for you. Now it's just calling it Lessons 3 because I've used that before, and I haven't saved the page yet, but we should be able to make that work and get it to disappear. If you're having this trouble, we can come around and help you. So that's how we edit them. The last thing we have to do once we've got the page how we like it is to hit Save. So we can see that we can no longer edit the web parts, and now we've got class announcements and class calendar. We've got an area called lessons. You can see that the 3 is no longer there. It's just called lessons by itself. Now that's still our collaborative documents box. It looks like that in the back end when you go and look at the different site contents. But on the appearance area, it looks like it's called lessons. But if you click on collaborative documents, I'll show you how to change this. Okay, it's called collaborative documents over here, but it's the same area. What we've called lessons is called collaborative documents. We'll go in and change that later.